Hi guys, today we're going to do very important work. I'm going to teach you how to write a summary. For all the moms and dads who are listening in, the summary is very important for the learners to know. The Department of Education wants us to include this type of summary in every language test. I'm talking about the big test or exam. The children need to know how to do a summary, and they will get this specific and exactly like this type of question in those tests and examinations. So we will repeat this when I see you guys again, but for now, let's see how we're going to do a summary. Right, now a summary is when you write a lot of information in a short way. um, it helps you when you study. Remember when we study for a big test, the teachers give you like lots of pages to study, and you don't just have one day to study for that test, and now you're in trouble. So we use one way for you to get out of that trouble is to make a summary, and that is when you take all the information and just take out what is the most important work or information so that you can just focus on that work and you're not leaving out important information. You just get out, that's the main thing. You get out the important information and throw away all the unnecessary work. Right, so when we do a summary, we also get to the point and just do all the important work. I already said that. Right, so today, let's have a look at this poster. Stop germs, wash your hands. It's a big poster. There's a lot of information on this poster. And your teacher, I ask you now to please give me a summary, write me a summary on how to wash your hands. So for this exercise, I want you to focus on the following part of this whole poster. How to wash your hands. Let's read through this bit. How? There's a picture about with a tap and a hand. Wet your hands with clean running water, warm or cold. Turn off the tap and apply soap. Right, the second picture. Lather your hands. I'm reading here if you are lost. Lather your hands by rubbing them together with the soap. Be sure to lather the backs of your hands between your fingers and under your nails. Right, the third picture, scrub. Scrub your hands for at least 20 seconds. Need a timer? Hum the happy birthday song from the beginning to end twice. Right, the fourth picture, rinse hands well under clean running water. And the last picture, dry hands using a clean towel or air dry them. Right, so now, how are we going to do this? Let's have a look. Number one, your summary needs to have a mind map. The mind map we always do with a pencil, because remember, the mind map is part of your planning. You're thinking about, how am I going to do this summary? What is the important words? What am I going to do? Write down when I need to write down my summary. Okay, so the other thing with the mind map, this is how my mind map will look, but yours doesn't necessarily need to look exactly the same as mine. You can use your own creativity, use circles or maybe a star or rectangular triangles. You can use your own imagination when you write down your mind map, but there needs to be, number one, a title, and number two, you're going to write 5 sentences. So you need 5 blocks. So you can write down your key words. With a mind map, we do not write full sentences in these blocks. We just write down key words that you're going to do your sentences with. Okay, except for the title block. You write your full title for your summary in the title block. So if you have a look here, the top one, I made the top one my title because that is important. That is my most important block. And underneath that, I have my 5 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In each one of these blocks is one word, a key word that I'm going to write my sentences about. Okay? And in other words, I'm going to have 5 words, 5 keywords, because I'm going to write down 5 sentences. Let's have a look. How to wash your hands. My teacher wants me to write a summary about how to wash your hands. My first word is wet, because that is the most important, that's the key message that this first picture wants to tell me. Wet your hands with clean running water, warm or cold, turn off the tap and apply soap. So the first step is I need to wet my hands. That's why I wrote down wet. The next step is lather by rubbing your hands together. So lather is when you take the soap and you apply it to your hands and you wash your hands and you make sure that the soap is everywhere. Right, that is lather. So that's why lather is my keyword, because I'm going to write down a sentence about lather. The next picture is scrub. That sentence or that picture tells me how to scrub my hands, and that's why the word scrub is there, because that will be my third sentence. The fourth one, rinse, and the last one, dry. So in my keyword blocks of my mind map, I wrote wet for my first sentence, lather for my second, scrub my third, the fourth sentence, rinse, and the last step, dry. Okay, so now I'm ready to carry on to my first draft. Your first draft will also be in pencil. Okay, so the first draft is going to look exactly like your final draft, with the only exception that this is going to be in pencil, so that when you read through it again, you can correct any spelling errors maybe, or language. Your sentence isn't in the right, doesn't sound right because you didn't write it correctly in the correct order, the words, then you can just erase it, or you can draw a line through it and just write with it. I like it if you do your editing with a green pencil, so then I can see that you did make the effort to do corrections with it. But remember, it's still with a pencil, so that you can do corrections. And at this stage, I do not look at how neat your work is. It should be neat enough so you can read what you wrote down, but I don't mind if you scratch out words, or if you erase something or change something, especially with your green pencil, because that shows me that you did some editing. Write something else. Your summary needs to be 5. You have to have a title. It needs to be 5 sentences, and your word should be between 30 and 40 words. No more, no less. Between 30 and 40 words. You need to stick with those, but in that word count, between 30 and 40 words. Right, so I started with my title, How to Wash Your Hands. Write it at the top, in the middle, and underline it. And now directly underneath that title, I write down my 5 sentences without leaving lines open. Wet. The first picture, wet your hands with water and apply soap. Just go see what all the words that I left out. Wet your hands with clean running water, warm or cold, turn off the tap and apply soap. All the unnecessary words I took out, and I just, what is the message of this sentence or of this picture? You need to wet your hands and put soap on your hands. Right, number 2, lather by rubbing your hands with soap. If you go look at this second picture, you'll see there is way more words in this sentence. Lather your hands by rubbing them together with the soap. Be sure to lather the backs of your hands between your fingers and under your toenails. Or your toenails, under your nails. If you want, you can wash your feet as well. But this one is about washing your hands, right? Okay, so the main message of this picture or paragraph is lather by rubbing your hands with soap. Remember, if you write these sentences, it still needs to be a full sentence. You can't write down short sentences. The sentence needs to be a full sentence with a subject, a verb, and an object. Okay, right. The third picture, the main idea is scrub. Scrub your hands for 20 seconds. If you go back to the picture, you'll see scrub your hands for at least 20 seconds. Need a timer, hum the happy birthday song from beginning to end twice. The main idea of that picture is you need to wash your hand or scrub your hands for 20 seconds. The next picture, rinse hands under clean running water. I wrote, rinse your hands well under water. You don't have to say clean or running water because we all know the idea is the next step is to rinse your hands under water and then dry hands using a clean towel or air dry them. Right, so number 5, dry your hands with a clean towel or air. I just didn't write down air dry them. So I left out just a few words in that sentence. It is quite a short sentence, so there's not much that we can leave out. Right, and then you need to count your words now. And you just count the words of your 5 sentences. You do not need to count your title. And my word count is 36. That's great. That's perfect. From 30, if your words are 30, it's perfect. 31, 32, 33. It doesn't matter so long it's between 30 and 40 words. So it can't be 41 words, that's wrong. And it can't be less than 30, 29, that's also wrong. It needs to be between 30 to 40 words. Right, if you're done with this first draft, you read through like I told you with your green pencil, you do your corrections. If it's either a spelling error or maybe your sentence isn't in the correct order or something is wrong, you can correct that with your green pencil. You need to use a green pencil so that I can see that you made the effort to do in editing on your first draft. Right, now for our final draft. Like I told you, the final draft will look exactly like your first draft. The only difference is, number 1, you write this now with your blue pen. And number 2, you write this with the perfect spelling and perfect everything that you changed with your green pencil that you thought that it was wrong. You corrected it now, and now it's perfect in your final draft. Right, remember again, maybe you still need to write down your word count as well. And if your word count was more or less, if your final draft is different from your first draft because you erased 1 or 2 words, you remember your word count should be also then wrote down. You have to write that down correctly as well. Okay, so now I think it's time for you to try it now. I want you to write me a summary of the information of the following slide. On the following slide, there will be the information that I want you to write your summary about. But before you start with that, your structure for your summary will look like this. You write down the date, 21 May 2020, and your heading will be summary. Underneath that, on the very first line, you write mind map. And I just wrote this as a side note for you to remind you to do this with a gray pencil. You can, because you're still learning or practicing how to do a summary, you can just use my mind map. I don't mind. Right. The top block, you write down your title, and then you write down your 5 key words for your 5 sentences. I want you to try and write down 1 word that's your key word that you're going to write your sentence with, but you can write 2 words as well. You'll see with information or the information that I'm going to give you, you may at some instances want to write 2 keywords, but remember, the general rule is to only write down 1 or 2 keywords. Okay, if you're done with your mind map, Again, you start with, on the next line, you start with your first draft. This we also do with a gray pencil. And then if you're done writing down your first draft, remember, it has to have like a title, and then the 5 sentences, you number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 underneath each other, and you write them down underneath the title. This we do with a gray pencil again. And if you're done writing down all your sentences, you start editing it. In other words, you can use your green pencil. I suggest you sit with mom or dad, or maybe your brother or sister who's older than you. Let them read through and show you all your errors that you made, and you correct them with a green pencil. So ask mom or dad, or maybe your brother and sister, to help you with that. Right, and then if you're done writing down your first draft, you can start now by writing down your final draft, your perfect, awesome final draft with pen. Now, I really don't want you to make any errors, so be careful not to make any errors. If you do make a mistake, with your gray pencil, you can just, and your ruler, you can just draw a line through it and write down the correct word with pen again next to it. But at this stage, I do not want your mom or dad or brother or sister to do anything with that final draft. When we're back at class, I will mark it then, but for now, they can just read through it, and I'll show them what they can do, how to mark your work properly. Okay, so for now, they can just read through it. It will make sense just now. Okay, so this is what you are going to write me your summary about. Things to know about getting your hurricane supplies. I want you to write me a summary about hurricane supplies. You can write now your own title, what you need in case of a hurricane, or my hurricane supplies. You can decide what your title is going to be. You'll see there's 5 information paragraphs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to write me 5 sentences underneath your title. The first paragraph, food or water, that's where I told you in your mind map, you can write down food or water for a keyword. So I don't mind there that you use 2 keywords, food and water. Get supplies well in advance, enough for each person for at least 1 week. The next paragraph, number 2, medicine or first aid. Have 30 days worth of medicine and medical supplies. Fill prescriptions before the storm. Then number 3, communications. Have extra batteries or portable chargers for your cell phones and batteries for your radios. Paragraph 4, gas. Fill up your car or a gas can beforehand. If the power goes out, you will be unable to pump gas. And then number 5, money. Have cash on hand. With no electricity, ATMs and credit cards will not work. So right, I want you now to write me number 1, a title. If you're done in your mind map, write a title in the top block. Then 5 keywords that you're going to write your sentences about. So it's almost, this is the words that you're going to write your sentences with. So it is the most important words in these paragraphs. Right. And then if you're done writing down those keywords in the blocks underneath your title block, you can start with your first draft. With your first draft, you're going to write down the title. Directly underneath it, 5 sentences about those keywords that you took out of the paragraphs. Okay. For the parents, if they're done doing this, I suggest go back to the video, rewind it again, and see, and just go through all the steps again before they start writing it down. For you, if you're done, you can help them with the editing in the first draft. The final draft should then be perfect because you've helped them. Read through the paragraph, and then this is the rubric that you're going to use to mark their summary with. Facts. If they have 5 facts in their own full sentences, then give them 6. 4 full facts their in own full sentences. In other words, they wrote them by themselves. 4 marks. 3 facts, 3 marks. 2 facts, 2 marks, and so forth. You'll see if they have no facts, in other words, they didn't get any of the information from those paragraphs, then you can't give them any marks. And then the language, sentence construction, spelling, and punctuation. If they have everything correct, give them 4 marks. 1 to 4 language or spelling errors or whatever, 3. 5 to 9, 2. More than 9, just 1. Parents, I want you not to rewrite, help them, but let them write their own sentences. That it doesn't need to be something that the president's going to use in his next speech. It's their grade 4. It needs to be simple sentences on their level. So help them to understand what is a fact, what is a full sentence, and let them find their own way to their full sentences. Use this summary to mark their rubric with, and on the next rubric on the next slide, there will be an example of how the summary should look with the exact information that they had to use. Right, so this is how I want it to look. The mind map, supplies for hurricane, that will be the title, food or water, medicine or first aid, communication, gas, and money. This is the mind map. And then the first and final draft is going to look like this. Supplies for the hurricane, and then they need to write down full sentences with each one of these keywords that they wrote down in the block. And then again, remember to count the words and write down the word count at the end. Now that was a mouthful. Good luck, and I know you can do it. Right.